What's up, YouTube? This is Deke. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas for all who celebrate. Coming to you today with some big news from me. I'm starting to become an affiliate with Sorare. And if you're new to Sorare and you're interested in getting started, I have my link down below. As far as that, I'm just going to be bringing more content, really getting into the content side. Upcoming videos, I'm going to have a who's who list of top people to watch on YouTube, things like that with so rare content. And another thing that I'm going to do is MLS coming up, some guys to look for in the MLS, as well as my series that was a real hit last summer, my Wonderkid series. So it's been a little bit since I've kind of updated. Some of these guys will be the same, but today's video is a big one that you're going to want to watch. It's goalkeepers. Goalkeepers are the most important part of So Rare, in my opinion, being able to build teams, especially if you're playing under 23. So here's the kind of constraints on this list. Number one, they're all 21 and under as of now. So I'm recording this 12/24, so they are all under 21. And I actually have 22 total guys here. So this is a long list. I'm going to kind of go brief with each one. Do your own research. Don't purchase someone just to purchase someone. You guys all know how So Rare works. Peaks and valleys, especially with some of these guys. You got to have a lot into these guys, and, their value can really plummet. So first off, I just have to start with Vandevoort from Genk. Genk's been unbelievable. First place in the table in the Jupiler League. You can see by his scores, he has those upside scores for sure. A lot of okay scores, but he's rounding into a great player. He turns 21 February 25th this year, so he's actually, a couple more years till 2026 if you're playing under 23. So he is my rare keeper. Again, not financial advice. If you have the money to pay for a under 23 goalie, this would be the guy for me. That's kind of the way I look at it, because he's joining Leipzig in 2024, so this is locked in. We have a full another season of this, and then he's going to Leipzig. So he's my number one on the list. There's not really an order. It's just kind of, he was number one up there, and then just kind of go from there. Then I'll have a bunch of honorable mentions as well. Next one up is Slonina. So he played for Chicago Fire. Chelsea bought him, and Chelsea is said to be looking to loan him in January. This is a risky one down the line, but you can see his price. Will he get loaned back to Chicago? Maybe. I haven't seen anything where it's like a confirmed where he's going to go. So again, he did sign with Chelsea at the end of the year. He had some nice scores, especially for a kid that is 18 turning 19. So super young. Watch the situation. If he gets loaned back to the MLS to Chicago, that'd be great. But he could really end up anywhere. But Chelsea were said to look and be loan them in January. So right around the corner here. Next up for Lille, Lucas Chevalier. So he actually is price skyrocketed because you see he has become the first team keeper for Lille. And as you can see, some good scores, some bad scores in between. But as a 21-year-old, just turned 21 in November, he is the guy for Lille. He is a young guy. He kind of can push Vandevoort as far as, that age group of guys. And you look at his prices, he's not going to be cheap. So you know what you're getting. I can't really complain about the output. That 8's terrible, but for a guy who he's the number one in Lille, that's great for the time being until he loses it or something happens. But as a 21-year-old, he is a pretty surefire stop. Next one, be careful with this one. Ukraine is not covered, so you're getting Champions League, you're getting International, and that's it. For that price tag, I cannot say to ever buy this card, in my opinion. But if he is rumored to move and somebody to pay for him, he is very talented. If you look at his scores that he could only play is Champions League stuff. You look at his numbers against top teams. Real, they lost 2-1, 71.8. That's nice. Gave up 4 against Leipzig. He should be Ukraine's keeper moving forward. At least I have him as, he's younger, 21, but I have him as being the future in Ukraine for goalie. So we'll see where that takes him. Again, can't stress enough not to play him. They are in the Europa coming up, so he will have 2 chances in February to make some time. But as far as he does have a lot of cards, it's just can't really recommend him. But keep in your mind for moving forward, especially if he gets a move. Next up, Kudyakov from Lokomotiv in Russia. So if you see his prices here, 0.05, and then pretty expensive on the rare. If you take a look at his current scores, he has, been the starter, sub here. 3 is a sub, and then back in net. So a little bit tricky. Is he the surefire guy? I mean, look at the stretch here, 86.6, 77, 8. I mean, great scores. So whenever he has been in the sticks, he has been really good. So it's just kind of monitoring the situation. Is he going to be the guy? Then he's great, He's only 18 years old, which is crazy that he's first team keeper, especially for a goalkeeper. Seeing these young guys in net is pretty wild. But if you're playing the game through 2028, he's under 23 eligible. So that's just great. So I think that's why his price is where it's at. Do I think that is the correct price? I don't know. For an 18-year-old goalkeeper that starts, sure. But I definitely need to mention him, so he makes the list as well. Next one, Iker Alvarez for Villarreal. So the reason, I think he has a lot of upside, he's 21 years old. The reason I have him, you look at the prices, yeah. But he plays for Villarreal, their second squad, their B team. So he started 3 in a row, but then was not in the team here. Not exactly sure what happened there, but again, he plays club and country, but I just don't see him as a guy unless he makes a move somewhere. It's going to be, your upside's going to be from playing Villarreal B until something else happens. So he has a lot of upside. He's 21 years old, turning 22 in July. Will they promote him eventually? I think they want to give him some game time, which is great for him. And a guy that you gotta definitely have your eye on. Goalkeepers are expensive. That is what it is. Goalkeepers are expensive. Next one, Charlie Setford. He plays for Ajax, number 2. Can't really recommend him right now, but on the radar again. So he's 18 years old. He was in the last video as well. But he has some really big upside. He just hasn't played. So Ajax 2, obviously not in the Sorare gameplay, SO5 gameplay. But again, 18 years old through 2028. Has to be mentioned. He's English. But in that Ajax group, he's got the upside. Cheap, but is it that cheap? I don't think so. So definitely a wait and see, but a guy with upside. Next up, Denali from Corinthians. So I mentioned him before I bought him. I still own him in Limited. I kind of transformed my gallery a little bit. But Cassio's still the guy here in Corinthians. He's played like 1 match, I believe. Yeah, he played 1 match and put up a 23.2. And then another one here and a 1 minute sub here. So Cassio's older, but if you take a look, Cassio's still the guy for Corinthians. And I mean, he's a club legend. He's contracted through 2024. So, is Denali going to get the burn? I don't know. But he definitely has the upside if he can break into that team. And everything, Football Manager has him as a wonder kid. He's been a wonder kid the last 3 years. Could that not pan out? Sure. But he's definitely going to be on your radar. Next one, excuse me, Diego Gali from Sporting. So he is 18 years old, spry as well. He's not going to have any action. So another guy that on your radar, super high upside. A lot of people have been talking about him as being a wonder kid as well. Doesn't have many cards, 27 on the limited and 3 on the rare. The prices aren't that bad, so maybe picking up the hold for a while could be a good idea. But whenever you're investing and it's kind of over the long term, it just depends where you are personally. So moving on to the next one, Saint Etienne in the League 2. Noah Rivera. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. I'll butcher it a lot. So not the most expensive player, but take a look here. He only has a sub in that beatdown, 22 minutes. He is listed as a high upside guy from what I've seen, and he's only 17, which is crazy. 2005 birth year. That's unbelievable. 2029. So if you take a look at the goalkeepers here, wrong link. Etienne Green is the guy. He's under 23 as well. He has been the guy in the kind of past. Uh, Dreyer is listed as a starter here. I haven't been following them too much, but let's just see. His price has skyrocketed. He has started the last three. He's started a decent amount after coming over here. So, uh, yeah, there's three keepers there. You don't really want to get involved in there. But again, a guy with high upside, 17-year-old kid. You take a look at Etienne's greens prices, pretty expensive as well. So he's like the number 3/number 4 there, probably number 3. So someone to keep in mind, but not to overinvest in. All right, so now we're gonna go through a few more. These guys the same, 21 and under, and we're gonna start with Nicholas Hadel from Rapid Vienna, and he is a guy that I was trying to get. I wasn't sure if I was going to go to Vandevoort or pay down for him. Let's take a look at his scores. So decent scores, but a lot. I mean, he will concede a decent amount, like 1, 1, 2. He does have the kind of green scores, but nothing out of the ordinary, like 70-ishes. And so he's a guy that he's consistent. He's solid. He's not going to blow it out of the water, but as a guy that has under 23 eligibility for time still, he's definitely worth it in my opinion. I don't really have the funds. I was trying to get a second U23 goalie, but just not gonna happen. I'm just sticking with Vandevoort instead of going with two other guys that have upside but aren't gonna get it done in the upper echelon of leagues. So again, the list like from here on out, they're kind of guys that have been more established because the first list is like more upside guys. Kosetani, so another situation to look at. He has been loaned to Belmar for I believe it's like 4 or 5 years, something crazy, and he's from Gamba Osaka. Gamba Osaka stayed up luckily, and he's another guy that I was really contemplating on buying. I don't have an Asian keeper for under 23, Asian/American. I was going to go Roman Celentano from Cincinnati or him. Still struggling on which one I'm going to go with. He had the upside last year at Shonan Belmar. And will he be the starter at Gamba Osaka? You just don't know that. I think he has the upside. He has been capped for Japan. He looks like he's Japan's keeper in the future. A lot of good things, and he has that under 23 until 2025. I really want to pull the trigger on him. I haven't, as you can see here, but he's a guy that I'm really interested in. Sticking in Japan, Masato Sakazaki out of Kashiwa Reysol. So he was a guy that I had in limited, and I played him a little bit in under 23, and solid scores. He had put up in that 94, that was huge. I can't remember. I think I won a reward whenever he had that. Really boosted the squad. But, he had some really bad matches where he was giving up a lot of goals. So, this is a guy that he should be the peg number 1. He has the utility for years to come. Price isn't terrible. His recent price here, I was actually looking kind of him or Tawny. And if you're in this price range, not the floor price of 0.82, but if you can get him for like 0.6, it's not terrible at all. Especially if you're looking for an under 23 keeper whenever the Asia America season comes back around, which I personally am definitely trying to build towards that now that I'm pretty happy with my Europe team. Next one is David Ochoa. So Ochoa has moved. He is not, contract obviously is running out at DC United. He has made the move to Mexico for San Luis, Atletico San Luis, and I would think he would be the starter there. I don't have a lot of knowledge in Mexico, but if you take a look, he was the starter down the stretch for DC United. A bad stretch of results here, but he put up some nice scores. So he's one that I just want to touch on, especially in Mexico. In the Mexican League, Liga MX, they don't score as many goals, so could be an opportunity to get a decent amount of clean sheets, maybe, or just concede one or something like that. So take a look at his prices. Again, not the cheapest player, but a guy that's under $100 for a limited, and 0.72 is not terrible, but again, if you're looking for a goalkeeper, I'd go probably elsewhere if I'm going U23. Next one, Besiktas. Urson Destanoglu. We'll go with that. His prices are about $67. Excuse me. And he has been the starter before the last two matches. He's back on the bench. I'm wondering if this is kind of like a, I don't know, strategy. I'm not the biggest Turkish League guy either. So maybe in the comments you can let me know if, I'm missing something. But didn't play these two. Didn't play. Was this yellows? Maybe yellows accumulated. Again, bench. Will he start coming out of the gate? I'm very interested to see. So at that price, definitely can't get him. But as a 21-year-old in the Turkish League, definitely worth a shout for players that are 21 and under. Nikola Kavlina for Lokomotiva Zagreb. And as you can see from his picture, he has moved from there. Take a look at his price. It's very similar. And as a 20-year-old, he has that eligibility. Look at his last current form. I had to include him just because whenever I was on server data, I was looking through and kind of going through each guy. Look at these look at these results in the last two. Yeah, not great this entire time. 2 times off. Not great. But then, wow. Okay, clean sheets and back-to-back. Has he found something? Was it more a product of who they were playing? That's what I'm thinking. But someone to keep an eye on, especially a young guy starting, especially for the video. 21 and under guys. We're getting down to the end, but yeah. So the next one is John Pulskamp for Sporting Kansas City. Again, there's transfers in, transfers out for the MLS since we're in the off season. The salary cap makes it interesting. So as of last year, he started down the stretch a decent amount. He didn't play here, but he was the starter kind of down the stretch there. Do I think he's going to start the next year? It's up in the air. I haven't done my MLS research throughout, but by the amount of game time he had last year, definitely one to kind of watch. If we take a look at their roster for goalkeepers, Tim Melia, he's 36. Melia, I don't know if he heals up from the muscle injury. Could he take that top spot back? I don't know. Also, Kendall McIntosh is there as well. So, Sporting Kansas City, definitely an option. Pulskamp there. Okay, next one, Sarang. These two are, Sarang's probably going to go down. Safe to say they probably will go down this year in the Belgian Pro League. And Deitch is hurt, so he fractured his fibula. And he was the starter before. And he's a young guy, so he was the starter the entire campaign there. Not great scores. And then after he got hurt with the broken leg, the next guy that came in was Timothy Galge. And he's also a young guy, under 21. You see how his price soared and then went way down. And if we take a look, he is cheap. And he was on the bench for the last match that was yesterday. So is he kind of relegated to the bench now? That kind of makes it, not great situation. I did want to mention him because he is cheap, but they're probably going to go down. So it's just you're not really going to want to put too many guys that they're probably just not going to be around come Sorare next year, especially this kind of breaking into 2023. You're only going to have like 4 or 5 months of utility here for them before they ultimately most likely get relegated. All right, next one. Last 3. I know this is a longer video, but a lot of goalkeepers that I had on my kind of list, just kind of broke them down. Carlos Sentic, Hajduk Split. If you take a look at him, prices aren't too terrible for a guy that, he was subbed here, which is weird. Might have been injuries. Who knows? But poor scores. But he's a young guy that's starting. The biggest thing for a goalkeeper, you just want someone that starts. It's infuriating whenever you have a guy that starts and then they are rotated. For example, Ghent, Nardi is the starter now. That's terrible for holders of other guys. It happens. you need kind of some cover. It's expensive to have cover, but he's a 21-year-old, turned 22 in June, that, on the radar just for, there's only so many goalies. So whenever you're trying to expand your research and take a look, he had to be included in my list. Last two, Volendam, Philip Stankovic, and he only has rare. So if you're watching for limited, just kind of skip this part, but he's only for rare, but he's the starter. They give up a lot of goals. His current price, I wouldn't pay that either, but he's a 20-year-old, turned 21, who starts in the Eredivisie, and yeah, he can put up an upside game. That's kind of, these back end guys have just been kind of like, yeah, they definitely have warts, but it's the best you can do. And the last one, Theo Sundar, he plays in the Danish Superliga. He's 17 years old. So take a look at his prices. They are kind of definitely on the up and up. As you can see here, he has started the last 6. Last 4 haven't been great, but he started out with a bang here, back-to-back clean sheets. He's 17 years old, which is wild that he is the starter here. So he's under 23 until 2029. And again, this is a young guy that's, I've seen multiple Sorare people as well put kind of ones to watch for people that I follow. So, I would definitely want to include him. He's probably a little bit better than some of the other guys that had warts whenever you're talking about different players. So hopefully you guys like this video. 22 total goalkeepers. And again, if you have any other ones that you know of and you have researched more fully than I have, drop them in the comments. Let's hear about them. And hey, again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hope everyone has a good Boxing Day as well. And we'll check you out next time.